Today I have my friend here, Dave Desjardins, Business Development Manager for Tempering for the Powers and Watts Tempering category. Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background?
Well, Todd, thanks for having me here today.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, I basically been in the industry since 2000. Prior to that, I was in the Army. Got out of school, I was a mechanical engineer. So that's my background. Been in the heating plumbing industry, working for various manufacturers.
Okay.
And so came to Watts a couple years ago, dealing with business development for tempering.
You know, elephant in the room moment here. We're talking about digital mixing, which Powers and Telestation has been out since 2015. As you're going out and you're talking to customers and engineers and such about digital mixing, what are some of those key points that come to mind?
I love it because it's really cool in the fact that it solves all the problems like that traditional thermostatic valve gives to a lot of times the contractor, even maybe the engineer.
Okay.
Right? So I think that's one of those things that we come up and it's like, hey, what pains you? And then it's like it answers, checks all those boxes. Right. So I think when you start thinking about commissioning, this goes in and 2 minutes later it's taken care of.
Right.
That type of thing. The controllability of it, so the output of the temperature, plus or minus 2 degrees versus its counterpart, which is plus or minus 7. So I think then the other thing that engineers really like about it, or the building owners for that matter, is the fact that you have sensors in here, so then it's going to communicate back and say, is there a problem? And bad news never gets better with time.
So it basically tells on itself if it's not behaving properly, right?
If there's a problem, then it'll alert you to it pretty quickly.
All right. What are some of the challenges, if you will, when someone is looking to select or to size a digital mixing system? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the things that need to be considered?
The first thing that always comes up, and this is like an engineer, they have a ton of things that they're sizing or looking at. So the first thing is like cost. Like, so why do I want to recommend this to my customer?
Right.
And so that usually comes up, and like the first thing a lot of times we talk about all the benefits I mentioned. But the other thing is like we go through, have this cost savings calculator, and it just says there's an energy savings, the conservation side of this that's really powerful. And so we'll kind of go through that online calculator, and basically that plus or minus 2, it's like a 5% energy savings. We have a neat feature on there too, and it's a schedule, and I call almost like a thermostat in your house that, you know, unoccupied. You go to work and it's like, hey, it's going to sit back. I say, if you use that feature, hey, you know what? That's something else that's fantastic. You're probably looking at a 20% energy savings. So when I show them like, hey, look, this is kind of the dollar amounts, you see that ROI is less than a year.
Gotcha.
And then it's like this aha moment. So they really like that.
So this is a tool that helps you quantify the value of the tighter temperature control, as well as, to your point, those periods of non-use where you've got a dialed down temperature that's circulating through.
It is dollars, and it's going to be energy, and then carbon reduction as well.
Oh, okay.
So we're having all these different things. So I think from the end user standpoint, well, my dollar savings, that's part of it.
Gotcha.
But if I'm the engineer, it might be saying, hey, you know what? I have this project. I'm looking at decarbonization. I might be interested in that, or energy.
Gotcha.
So those are the different units that we're coming up with.
Watts is really focused on the sustainability message, you know, handprint, footprint, things of that nature. So not only are we looking to be responsible stewards of, you know, our local resources and our local community, but also being able to produce those products that, you know, makes the audio match the video, if you will. So like you're talking about in terms of being able to have those tools to quantify that value, to quantify that sustainability. It's just one of the resources that we have for engineers to be able to justify or answer the question, you know, what is this going to cost and how is this going to benefit my customer?
It absolutely, it's a great tool for that. Another nice tool, Todd, that we have that's really great for these engineers out there. And again, they're sizing all these things and doing all this stuff. So instead of just saying, you're going to do digital mixing, again, no one likes to be told what they do. They like options. I like options.
Right.
So what we have is Selexit.
Okay.
And it's a great sizing tool. The reason I say it's a great sizing tool is a lot of times we run into projects where, you know, we come in and there's problems with this thermostatic valve.
Right.
And you start looking at it, it's like massive valve feeding a little bit of fixtures, and you're like, well, there's your problem, right? Cycling all the time, and they're rebuilding it. So we go in and then we say, hey, can we get the fixture counts? And we throw it into Selexit and then right size the valve.
So the right sizing of the valve, is it through a certain type of process or evaluation like Hunter's curve or?
And I tell you what, like our Selexit program is really cool, and I get this question quite a bit. So I kind of show this, and really what it is it takes And the Hunter's curve, I mean, that was developed in 1940, right? All the engineers, I mean, it's codified, so that's how they're sizing their piping and everything else. So it's very natural to them, like, this is going to be my flow rate. So we kind of use another diversity factor. And so depending on the type of building you have, it gets further diversified.
Gotcha.
So when we start doing that, and people are like, well, wait a second, you just cut the flow rates down in half. What are you doing? So that's really what this is doing for them. And it kind of goes back to, if we can do that for them, our agents can do that for them, or they can do it themselves. But it's one of those things. After you do that, basically all the different, you can put in the parameters, and all the different valves, not just digital, but thermostatic, come up, and then they have those options to choose from.
Is there a spot on the website that engineers will be able to reach out and take a look at offerings, information, things of that nature when it comes down to digital mixing?
I tell you what, the best places, and our website is absolutely fantastic, but I think if you go products and mixing, that'll get you right in the right area. And then at that point, a lot of the ASSC ratings, you can filter by there. Or
Excellent.
You could say, hey, I want a master mixing valve, or I want showers, or point of use. So there's a lot of good information right there. Up under our tools, Todd, you can drop down there, and that's where you can find Selexit, the digital savings calculator, a lot of other great specification tools as well.
Outstanding. So this is our effort and our intent to be an extension of an engineer's resources and engineering department, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Anything we can do to help make their lives easier.
Outstanding, Dave.
Right?
Hey, appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.